Well, this has been a great event. We obviously picked a topic that was absolutely on the money. Accountability, transparency, impact measurement. We've had some very lively discussions. The conference room has been packed to capacity. The participation levels have been astonishing. There have been all sorts of very interesting searching questions that reflect the different geography of Kenya, different parts of the country that have different requirements, and I just love the way people have engaged with our expert panels.
Events like AidEx help bring together a diverse group of people to have a conversation that we may not have otherwise about important issues that are critical to getting better as a sector and doing more for people who need and expect our help. Transparency and accountability are so important to the aid and development sector because our greatest currency, our greatest asset is trust. The trust that beneficiaries and local partners put in us. And they put that trust in us. They trust us to come into their homes, to help meet the needs of their children, of their family and their neighbors. And we invest in that trust, honor and respect that trust by being accountable and transparent with what we give back and with how well we give it.
I think it's important to have these kinds of conversations. These kinds of conferences usually happen in Europe or North America. So I think it's really important that we start getting closer to the communities that we try to serve and where the aid recipient countries. I was asked to be on a panel to talk about aid effectiveness. Particularly what I enjoy about doing this today was that I was able to actually communicate that message to more Kenyans, to more people who really get it, and they feel like, oh, the speaker is actually saying something that resonates with me and that actually I can relate to. It's a part of my personal journey or struggle. At least helped me when I've heard other panelists say things that I was like, oh, I didn't know that person was dealing with these issues. You know, I'm not alone. So I think that part is really, really helpful to know that there's a community out there globally who are really struggling with the same issues you are, particularly for local actors.
This is my first time at AidEx. I haven't been to an AidEx conference before, and yes, I would encourage other people to attend. It was a very rich discussion that we just had in the last session and the session before. I think in terms of their impact, it's really about what you take out of an event like this and how you make that alive in the organization that you go back to. So there's some really interesting questions today that I was asked that I'm thinking about, are we doing this in the right way? And I'll have discussions with people that I work with to kind of address some of the issues that have been raised. My favorite part of these kind of events is actually the networking, followed very closely by the ability for people to ask questions, but actually the interaction between the people that attend, the people in the panel, and their ability for them to make connections outside of the conference.
I think they are extremely important because, as was said by one of the panelists in my panel today, we tend to work in silos. So as much as, you know, there is a lot of expertise in the sector, I think it's very beneficial for all of us to interact, to have a comprehensive dialogue across the sectors, beyond just development cooperation or humanitarian assistance, and to learn from each other. Having been in development cooperation for 20 years now, it is really to engage with sectors beyond development cooperation, meaning, you know, the business sector. I think they bring a lot of innovative technologies, innovations, which really benefit all of us to the table. They also bring a completely different culture. So it's challenging on one hand, but it's also very interesting to engage with actors beyond, you know, the traditional partners and stakeholders in the development sector.